The image of the invisible God. A profound revelation in Colossians 1 verse 15. Have you ever wondered what it means for something to truly reflect its source? When you look at a mirror, you see an image of yourself, but that reflection is not truly you, it's just a likeness. But what if we could see something or someone so perfectly that it was more than just an image? It was a complete revelation of the essence of what it reflects. This is precisely what the Apostle Paul is telling us in Colossians 1 verse 15, where he declares that Jesus Christ is the image of the invisible God. This one verse, short yet powerful, is packed with theological depth and life-altering implications. It opens the door to understanding the nature of Jesus Christ and his relationship to God the Father. But it doesn't just reveal theological facts. It demands a personal response. This verse challenges us to consider how we view Jesus, how we understand the character of God, and how that understanding changes the way we live our lives. When Paul calls Jesus the image of the invisible God, he is making a radical claim that should not be taken lightly. This is not simply a statement of Jesus' appearance, but rather a declaration of his divine essence. Paul is saying that if you want to know who God is, truly know him, you must look at Jesus. There is no greater or more accurate revelation of God than in the person of Jesus Christ, the image of the invisible God. The first thing we need to understand is the nature of this image. To say that Jesus is the image of God is not to say that he merely looks like God. The term image here is much deeper than that. In the original Greek, the word used is icon, which means a perfect representation, a manifestation, or a reflection of the original. This image isn't a mere photograph. It is the full, exact representation of the one it reflects. In the ancient world, kings would place their images in the lands they ruled, and these images were understood to be a visible representation of the king's authority and essence. In the same way, Jesus is the image of God, not as a reflection of some distant, impersonal being, but as the perfect representation of God's nature, will, and character. When we see Jesus, we are not just seeing a figure or a messenger. We are seeing God himself. But there's something even more significant here. God, by nature, is invisible. In the Old Testament, God revealed himself in various ways. Through a cloud, a fire, a still small voice, and even through the law. But God remained invisible in his full essence. In Jesus, the invisible God is made visible. Jesus is the full disclosure of who God is in human form. He is not a shadow or a symbol of God's being. He is God in the flesh, fully God and fully man. When you encounter Jesus, you are not encountering a distorted or partial revelation of God. You are encountering the exact imprint of his being. This is why Jesus, in his ministry, repeatedly told his disciples, "If you have seen me, you have seen the Father." John 14 verse 9. Jesus did not just point to God. He was the clearest and most complete expression of God. Everything about Jesus, his words, his actions, his character, reveals the nature of God to humanity in a way that nothing else in creation can. The firstborn over all creation. The second phrase in Colossians 1 verse 15 says that Jesus is the firstborn over all creation. This title does not suggest that Jesus was created. Some have misinterpreted this phrase to mean that Jesus is a created being, but this is not the case. In the ancient world, the term firstborn had a powerful meaning. It referred to a position of honor and authority. The firstborn son was the heir, the one who had the right to rule and receive the inheritance. When Paul refers to Jesus as the firstborn over all creation, he is saying that Jesus holds supreme authority over creation. He is not a part of creation, nor is he just one being among many. Instead, he stands above and over all things. Jesus is the one through whom all creation was made, and he is the one to whom all creation ultimately belongs. Jesus is not just the first in order. He is the preeminent one, the one who holds the highest position in all things. This understanding is crucial because it challenges any notion that Jesus is just another great teacher or a wise moral leader. He is not simply someone who gives us a good example to follow. He is the Lord of all. His authority is not limited to the spiritual realm or to the lives of believers alone. Jesus reigns over everything, from the smallest atom to the farthest galaxy. For in him all things were created. Verse 16 expands on the idea of Jesus' supremacy by saying that in him all things were created. Things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. This statement reveals Jesus' active role in the creation of everything. Jesus was not just an observer of creation, he was the agent of creation. Paul is making a profound theological point here. Jesus is the creator. He was there at the very beginning, and everything that exists was made through him. This is a bold declaration that puts Jesus in the same category as God the Father. In the beginning, it was God who created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1 verse 1. But now Paul is saying that it was through Jesus that all things were created. This is a radical claim to Jesus' divinity. Not only did Jesus create everything, but he also created it for himself. The universe, in all its vast complexity, exists for the purpose of glorifying Jesus. Every star, every planet, every living creature, and every person is ultimately designed to point to Jesus, to acknowledge his supremacy, and to fulfill his purposes. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. In Colossians 1 verse 17, Paul goes further to say that Jesus is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Jesus is not just the firstborn or the creator. He is also the sustainer of all creation. Everything that exists is held together by the power of Jesus' will. The universe is not some random collection of particles and forces. It is an ordered, purposeful creation that is sustained moment by Jesus. This truth should radically shift the way we view the world around us. The fact that all things hold together in Jesus means that our lives, our relationships, and our world are not just chaotic accidents. They are held together by a divine purpose. Jesus is the one who gives meaning to every part of creation. Every atom in your body, every breath you take, every second of your life is sustained by the word of Christ. Without him, everything would unravel. I challenge you to reflect on the majesty of who Jesus is. Does your life reflect the truth that Jesus is Lord of all? How can you better align your life with his purposes today?